If we look at applications, if we look at test and development, if we look at the ability for companies to adopt, adapt, and roll out computing infrastructure quickly, about being able to have show results in very limited time frames, it is impossible to actually follow the old traditional model of calling in a vendor, doing a sizing, getting an order, purchase order placed, waiting for the equipment to be delivered, getting a site ready for it, installing it, and all of that. We all know about it, right? Today we need it now, in an instant. So essentially what we are saying is that the old legacy model, which was based on a reactive, more planned tactical implementation model, is now moved. It's no longer moving, but it's moved to a new model which has to be proactive, which enables the companies and organizations to be able to take a strategic view of the market and thereby drive the leadership. And of course, all of that is being done in order to grow, in order to survive. So, if we look at some of our analyst predictions, everyone, of course, is bullish about cloud. Gartner is actually predicting IaaS, that's infrastructure as a service, to be 23% of all hosted IT, right, by 2014. And that's a huge, huge number. So, for the enterprise who's out there fighting it out, battling in this new hyper-competitive market, what will cloud actually allow them to deliver, right? It is, of course, to be able to grow in the competitive market. It's about being able to be flexible and agile as a global corporation. It's about being able to have processes that can be streamlined and shared across global regions. It's about being more financially prudent and paying for what they use. And all of this actually adds up into increased productivity. So, if we look at the various services, typically the way you see an adoption model is companies usually start with software as a service, right? They would like to test out different applications that perhaps they do not want to buy, right? That they have a transient need for. So often you will see that software as a service is where the relationship starts. Platform as a service is more focused on the ISVs, the developers, who are developing applications and would like to take it to market based on a certain platform that they may not own. Ultimately, what we will have is infrastructure as a service where companies will be able to provision their servers, their data center requirements, storage, networking, on the cloud, on the internet, using a browser from their PCs and their netbooks and notebooks. So what it's going to do for the enterprise of the future is allow them to provision and use these applications, these resources, these softwares when they need it, where they need it, because cloud means it's over the internet, it can be accessed from anywhere. And the most important part, of course, over here is pay for what you use, right? So, the cloud is available, it's on demand, it is simple to manage, it is fully self-service in the sense the customer can decide how they want to set it up, and at the end of the day, it turns out to be extremely cost-effective. Is cloud for everyone? Is cloud for every application? Is cloud for every customer? Well, these are the areas where we see that you are having significant deployment and take-up in terms of cloud services. So, just to summarize on that, application test development, some of the web applications that are elastic in nature, the temporary needs, event-based applications, which could be a promotion or a certain seasonal offer that a company may decide to put out that requires tremendous server capacity in order to capture the demand, right? And then finally, on collaboration. So with that, I'll conclude the presentation now, Camille, saying that there are two value propositions clearly. One is, of course, save the money, and the other one is making the business more competitive and being able to be out there in the market and competing in this new era of growth, right? Both of these are important. It's not only about reducing cost, but it's also about being more effective, right? So there's a balance between reducing cost, being more effective, and cloud solutions actually are allowing the enterprises to deliver on both these counts, right? So at the end of the day, what it would allow is the enterprise of the future to survive, grow, and prosper in the current scheme of things.
You can download Roy's highly informative presentation of 29 slides free from the NetEvents website, together with a full transcript of the talk and subsequent Q&A session, which is when Informa's principal analyst Camille Mendler joined Roy on stage, as we shall now see.
If you look at Tata Communications versus a number of service providers offering telecom cloud services, has taken a somewhat different approach from many peers. And when you really made a push into cloud services, which was announced, in October of last year,
yes.
There were two things that struck me. One, you were number one pushing on infrastructure as a service. And secondly, it was also public cloud services, and it was towards small and medium-sized enterprises. Could you talk a little bit about what I think might be a very big bet that you're making?
Indeed, Camille, thanks for asking that. And it is an extremely large bet that we've placed in terms of our infrastructure investments, in terms of our go-to-market, which includes sales and marketing, and our partnerships and alliances. The way we saw the market was that there were the large companies, the large organizations, the enterprise, the global enterprise, that certainly would seem to be the first and the likely target for anybody entering the market. Typically, these companies would already have data centers, right? Significant investments that they have made, and they continue to use that. It is not that we don't focus on such large organizations, we certainly do. And we have engagements where we are engaging with their departments, as well as some of their branches, as well as on a project basis. But where we saw the real growth and the ramp up happening is in the smaller and the growing enterprises, which do not have the wherewithal to set up their own data center, right? However, they do need to have serious servers computing power now and then when they are having the burst mode requirements. And they are the likely candidates for a public cloud offering, right? Because they don't want to have anything behind the firewall except for their clients. And that requires us to have a go-to-market model which is different from the way we address our enterprise customers. You can just go out there and you can sign up for a trial right now and provision a server in terms of the CPU, the storage, and the memory, and off you go. And if you're a customer who wants to then continue after the trial period, you have two options: pay by credit card or by corporate purchase order, and you're set. That's it. It's as simple as that. No year-long contract, no other commitments. You just start off. There you go.
You're making it sound awfully easy, and yet we know that credit cards, not everyone uses a credit card, correct? So what are you going to do in countries not, in fact, like India, where not everyone is using a credit card? Or we used to buy telephony minutes, we still do on mobile prepaid.
Yeah, why not?
Why not a prepaid cloud? That might be one way to deal with.
Absolutely, absolutely. That could allow us to have the payment in advance as well.
So that means all the people who sell in the ma and pa shops sell minutes. They might be selling infrastructure as a service. Is that a possibility?
So that's the other part, of the go-to-market in terms of the channel, right? From an SMB perspective, we have to amplify our reach to be able to go and meet up with customers who we normally wouldn't in terms of our enterprise engagements. And that is where the channel partners play a crucial role. We've engaged channel partners in India, over 140 of them, who have been selling our traditional network services. And now we are enabling them and refocusing them on our cloud-based services.
You did say that unlike the old way that one would perhaps set up a computing environment that took weeks, it now takes minutes.
It takes minutes.
But does it really take minutes? Because it does occur to me that the commercial issues are actually the problem, not the technology.
So if a customer would like to use a paper order and not pay by a credit card, then there is the order processing time that takes days, right? Not months or weeks, but it takes a few days. And then they're often set to go. Other than that, there is the time required for them to upload their image for their application, right, over the network. And that's about it. So there is no waiting for equipment to arrive or installation and setting it up and testing, and all of that's already done. It's just the access, right?
But what you've actually said is, if I look at the SME universe, in India the demographics are such that we have an early adopter segment,
Absolutely.
a particular vertical segment within the SME market
Right.
that is highly aligned to the compute.
Absolutely.
But that is not the story demographically in other countries in Asia or in Europe that you're addressing. So
Absolutely.
will it work elsewhere? I suppose that is the big, big question. Or will it have to be large enterprise in other parts of the world?
It will be a different formula and a different customer base for every region. If we look at Singapore and we look at Asia, the early adopters are from gaming industry. The early adopters, so they're the folks who are developing. So they're developers in a way, but it's not IT, right? From media and entertainment, right? So it's a different industry. So it's about being able to identify in each of these geographies who are the likely, what is the profile of the likely customer or the likely enterprise, large, medium, or small, that is going to take this service, adopt this service, and roll out their applications, their services, their reach out in the market on this. So it's not the one size that'll
So
go
one
across.
size most definitely doesn't fit all.
No.
And isn't that a problem with telecom? Because telecom fundamentally is a mass production model applied to the creation and distribution of digital goods. And what you're saying is actually for this to take off, you have to do some level of customization and resegmenting, and that seems to be at odds in a way.
Absolutely, and we have different divisions, business divisions inside of Tata Communications focused on these different markets. So if we look at a traditional wholesale, there is a segment and there is a certain team that engages for that. In Global Data and Mobility Solutions, where I belong, we have in my team enterprise-focused go-to-market, which is doing the segmentation, working with analysts, working with channel partners and alliances to understand that market and to be able to create our value proposition and the benefits, right? And to be able to do a market entry strategy. Absolutely and totally a different play.
Further questions followed from Camille and from the audience of top APAC service providers, equipment vendors, and the cream of the region's press and analysts. You can download the full transcript free from our website, as well as Amit Sinha Roy's informative PowerPoint presentation in PDF format. Just go to www.netevents.org.